This is my first time making sawtooth star blocks. I'm very excited. I'm going to try and use up as much of my fabric stash as I possibly can in an attempt to get through fabric that I already own. Hi friends, welcome back to Karla Created, or welcome if you're new here. My name's Karla and I share videos about all of my sewing adventures. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the sawtooth star quilt that I made for my youngest daughter. Now, this is my very first attempt at doing sawtooth star blocks. I followed a free pattern that I found on Pinterest, which I will link in the description box below. It was really fun. I used as many of my fabrics in my stash as I possibly could to get through a lot of the smaller scrappy pieces that I had. Anyway, let's get into it. Here is the pattern that I am following. Now, obviously you can print out the free pattern through the Pinterest link, which I will include in the description. My printer wasn't working, so I had to write it all out by hand so that I could keep a copy of it in front of me, just to remember all of the different piece sizes that I needed. Making the points of the stars has some similarities to that of flying geese blocks. I really enjoyed this double whammy method. That's not what it's called, but I can't for the life of me think of what professional quilters call it. So if you know what this method or technique is called, please let me know in the comments.
How good are Sunday mornings where everyone else sleeps in? I can wake up, make a coffee, and do some sewing. This is also why I like to have everything prepared in batches. Everything's ready to go, so I can literally just start sewing. I need to cut out the right sizes in some more fabric, so then I can continue to make the stars, because I've run out of the pre-cut squares. So, but that's okay. I quite enjoy doing that anyway. Someone's awake.
Making these star blocks is incredibly satisfying. I can't even begin to tell you just how much fun making these blocks was. Perhaps because I've never made any star blocks before.
It wouldn't be one of my quilt videos if I didn't have a clip of me talking to you whilst having a coffee at 6 a.m. in my pajamas, of course. I thought I would just quickly share that when you're making these star blocks, what I found is you need to trim down your HSTs down to the same size as the center pieces, because for some reason this pattern, they are slightly bigger and you don't want that. I thought that I could get away with not trimming them initially when I started making the blocks. I thought, oh, I'll just line them up in the center and all will be well. No, because the star points are misaligned when you do that. It doesn't work. So I thought I would just share that, which is exactly what I am doing right now. I happen to have two rulers that are both exactly 4.5 inches, and all I do is trim down. Oh, I should say, when I mean trim down, I mean cut them down to the same size. You're gonna have to trim off these little corner bits anyway. You can't leave them on there. I mean, you could, but it would just be like bulky, the seams. So you may as well trim those off and trim down. Initially I was just like cutting them with scissors, and then just, yeah. Anyway, I just thought I'd share my learnings from this process with you, because, you know, you might want to make a quilt similar with the star block free quilt pattern. So see how I've just trimmed it? And now it is like perfect. So then when I stitch that on, it's just perfect. And when I trim it, I just leave the 1/4 of an inch between the point of the white fabric here and the edge. And that is so that the point is perfectly aligned, so that when you stitch it, 1/4 of an inch seam, it's like perfect. Okay, I'm back. I have 2 more blocks left to sew, and I'm going to do that as my Friday night treat. It's the end of the week. I'm a little bit run down. I'm not feeling 100%. And I'm getting to the point of this project where I'm like, please let these 2 last blocks be the last 2 blocks. So here are all the star blocks. There's a lot. Like, whew. And apparently, according to past Karla's calculations, I only need 2 more pink blocks and I will be done. I think. I don't know past Karla's methodology for calculating this because I can't remember.
I think it's a sign that I've been spending too much time sewing when my husband comes and has a chat with me whilst I'm ironing quilt block pieces. Does anyone else lay out their block pieces like this, or is it just me? I find it so much easier to figure out where all of the pieces go and to avoid making any mistakes, but I'd totally be curious to find out if anyone else who quilts does this. And yes, I know I am still using my living room floor as my design area. I could have used the bed. I am only realizing this at this point.
Okay, so last night I laid out all of the star blocks. I've still got them on the floor. That's what I'm looking at right now. And I don't have enough. So I'm not sure what past Karla was thinking when she wrote down that I just needed 2 more pink blocks. Anyway, it's okay. It's fine. This is how my quilts go. I just roll with the punches and wing it, essentially. I've woken up and I've just felt like sewing something. So I have just been piecing bits of scraps together. So when I do a project, all of the scraps, as I'm cutting out all of my pieces for my blocks, I just collect in a basket. Unless they're too small, then I put in this basket. I've got quite a good system now in my sewing space. Super duper small crumbs go in here, and then bigger pieces I keep to hand. And I've used up as many of the bigger pieces to make the star blocks, obviously. So these are the bits that they're too small, right? But still big enough to actually do something with. So I have been sewing them together, just chain piecing a bunch of them, and I'm going to go and iron them all flat now. And I'm thinking that I'll make some, not 8 by 8 or 8.5 by 8.5 blocks, but perhaps some 4.5 by 8, sort of smaller ones. And then I might step the stars, so then they're not like all perfectly aligned. I might do them sort of mismatched a little bit, if that makes sense, and then have the sort of scrappy blocks, half blocks in amongst it. Yeah. We'll see what it looks like. I'm just gonna do it because if I don't use these in that, then I'll use them for something else because I just can't throw fabric away. So yeah, that's the plan. And apologies for my appearance. Wouldn't be one of my quilting videos if I wasn't in my pajamas for at least a portion of it and looking like this. All right, let's do it. I have to say, this is so much fun. Just chain piecing scraps. See?
I want you to say like that and that forever.
Oh, I want you all to stay like that.
Okay, well that was a super fun morning and then fun afternoon. I have used up pretty much all of the scraps that I had created from this project. Yeah, that's all I have left. And these sort of bigger white bits, but I didn't want to put too much just plain white in there because the white is the backing for some of the stars. So I'll keep those white bits for a future project. Anyway, these are my scrappy blocks. I've made them sort of 8.5 wide this way. They are all different sort of sizes though in terms of the height, right? And that is because I'm going to do something a little bit weird. Some might think it's weird, to my design. So I'm not going to bother trying to explain it because it's probably not going to make much sense until you see it. Yeah, so I'm going to trim these so then at least they are not so mismatched because I've got some bits that are like, you know, like this that I've not actually trimmed straight. So I'm just going to trim them all so they're sort of square-ish and start playing with my design.
Here is the final design for the quilt top, and I've also decided to add a 3-inch border all the way around the edge in white. Hey, the quilt top is officially finished. I have prepared the backing of the quilt using up fabrics from my stash. Now I'm going to make the quilt sandwich. Here is the quilt backing. I do not have enough room in my sewing space. Now I just used this large piece of white fabric, which is actually an old bed sheet, and I've just added these strips to the side to make it big enough. This is the wadding I use. It's bamboo. I like bamboo. It's breathable and lightweight. Alrighty, the quilt sandwich is finished and it's all basted, like pinned together. Now I'm going to quilt it on my machine, I've decided, and then try and get the binding sewed on, and then I can hand stitch it on the couch. I'm gonna give these a go, hashtag not sponsored. So yeah, I'm going to wear these and see if they help, because the last time I had to machine quilt, yeah, it really hurts my arms. So yes, any tips on that, please do let me know in the comments. If you have gloves like these, also let me know. I'd be interested to find out if they are like a thing that a lot of quilters use, or whether it's just like a fad thing, way for sewing stores to make money out of poor husbands that go into them and ask shop assistants, what should I buy my wife for Christmas? She likes quilting. He also bought me 3 different thimbles. Yeah, anyway, it's funny. It's very cute. I'm very, very grateful.
Oh. Oh, they're very tight. Okay. Wow. Here we go. No turning back now. Oh wait. Or did I have them? I think I've got them on the wrong. I'm not sure if the branding's supposed to be on the inside or the outside, because the grippies are on the inside and the outside. Grippy. Alrighty, well, I'm halfway. These gloves are great. Like, would 110% recommend. Goodness. Now the design that I've chosen to do is just like a bit of a wave. I have done this design once before on the quilt that I made for my sister, which I will link somewhere. And I learned my lesson when I did that quilt not to do too much of a curved kind of wave, or S I should say, across the center of the quilt. So just a very gentle sort of S, very gentle wave. And then all I'm doing is just stitching, using my seam stitching guide, walking foot quilting guide thing, about 10 centimeters from each previous sort of stitch row. And yeah, I think it's looking really cool. Like, can't really see, but I'm really happy with how it's looking. All I need to do now is just take all the rest of the pins out and then trim it down. And where's my binding? I have some binding that I have prepared earlier. Here it is. I don't know, I don't think I'll have enough, so I'll need to just make a little bit more, which is fine. It's just some pink binding, so I will cut the rest of this fabric up to make some more binding, and hopefully I have enough. I will measure the quilt first, measure what I've got, and then figure out if I will have enough. Failing that, I will then just use the blue.
And the quilt is done. I absolutely love how this quilt turned out. It's such a fantastic quilt for Neve. She loves it as well. I gave it to her the other day and she was absolutely over the moon, which just filled my heart with so much joy. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please let me know in the comments whether you think I made the right choice in offsetting those star blocks. I think it turned out okay. Anyhow, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy content like this, please feel free to subscribe to my channel for more of my sewing adventures, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.